The Russian Ministry of Culture's 2021 press conference displayed what they called the century's most significant archaeological find: 200 kilograms of Scythian gold artifacts from the Altai Mountains, including intricate stag plaques, golden combs, and the ceremonial armor of what they claimed was a previously unknown Scythian prince. Dr. Ivan Orlov, the lead archaeologist, smiled for cameras. I watched from my lab in Vienna, and I knew with cold certainty every piece was a fake. My certainty came from a spectrograph analysis Dmitry Volkov had sent me 3 weeks before they found him floating in the Black Sea. The oligarch-turned-treasure hunter had paid for the most advanced metallurgical analysis ever conducted on Scythian gold. The results showed something revolutionary. Authentic Scythian gold from the Pontic steppes, 400 to 300 BC, contained a unique platinum-palladium signature from Ural mountain deposits plus microscopic traces of horsehair and fermented mare's milk, residue from the felt bags they carried it in. Orlov's discovery showed arsenic and copper impurities consistent with modern Kazakh gold mines, aged with acid baths. More damning, high-resolution imaging revealed rotary tool marks under the ancient patina. This wasn't just a misattribution, it was a state-sponsored fraud on an unprecedented scale. But why? Volkov's encrypted notes included a single chilling line. They're hiding the real find. The Valley of Golden Eagles has more gold than all tombs combined, but the eagles guard it with more than talons. The breathing mountain eats liars. The race for the true 300 million Scythian horde began with a murder and a scientific discrepancy that threatened to rewrite Eurasian history. Phase 1. The paper trail and the dead oligarch. Volkov's research pointed to the Saqi Mountains where Russia, Mongolia, and China meet, a region so remote even Soviet maps showed blanks. His notes mentioned Tuvan stone mazes and throat-singing resonance patterns. But his most valuable clue came from an unexpected source: 19th-century British missionary records. In the Cambridge University archives, I found Reverend Theodore Winthrop's 1873 journal from his failed mission to convert Siberian tribes. Between pious exhortations, he'd sketched something extraordinary: a stone circle with gold foil fragments blowing in the wind like autumn leaves. He wrote, "The natives call it the singing gold, and say the mountain breathes it out during thunderstorms. They will not approach, saying it is the bank of their ancestors where gold is stored, not buried. A bank, not a tomb. This changed everything. I assembled a team: Elena Petrova, Tuvan linguist and cultural historian, whose grandfather was a shaman; Dr. Marcus Schmidt, German forensic metallurgist who'd worked on the Nazi gold train investigation; Alexei Volkov, no relation to Dmitry, Russian alpine guide whose father had disappeared during a 1980s Soviet archaeological expedition to the same region. Our first breakthrough came from cross-referencing Winthrop's coordinates with modern geological surveys. The area showed unique geothermal activity: cold permafrost overlaying volcanic vents, creating microclimates where ice caves breathed warm, moist air. Phase 2. The competition arrives. We weren't alone. At Moscow's Domodedovo airport, Dr. Orlov himself approached me. "Dr. Aris," he said smoothly, "I understand you're interested in Scythian metallurgy. Perhaps we could collaborate? The state has resources." I declined politely. 2 hours later, Lena's hotel room was searched. Nothing taken, just a warning. We flew to Kizil, Tuva's capital. Batu, a throat-singing master Lena knew, met us. He listened to our description and grew pale. "The breathing mountain is real. My grandfather guarded it. Not from thieves, from greedy spirits. He said the gold there is alive, it sings back." Phase 3. The sonic key. Batu took us to a valley where wind through strange rock formations created harmonic frequencies. "The stone maze," he said, pointing to concentric circles of man-placed boulders. "Only 4 notes together open it. One man cannot. It requires community." This was the security system, not a physical lock, but a social one. The Scythians were nomadic, their security relied on group knowledge. The maze required 4 throat singers producing different notes simultaneously to create the resonance pattern. We hired 3 more throat singers from local villages. As they sang the complex chord, a fundamental drone with 3 harmonic overtones, something extraordinary happened. The ground beneath the maze's center liquefied into what seemed like quicksand. It was fine glacial flour, rock powder, suspended by infrasound vibration. We sank to our waists before hitting solid stone steps descending into darkness. The chamber was empty, except for dust and one object, a gold wire model of the entire valley, with the maze at its center. On its back, Greek letters spelled, "As above, so below. The true treasure casts no shadow at midsummer noon. Follow the antler's path where the Milky Way touches earth." Orloff's team had clearly been here first. Tool marks showed recent excavation. They'd taken whatever was obvious. They'd missed the map. Phase 4, the astronomical alignment. Milky Way touching Earth meant a sacred site at high altitude where the galaxy appears to meet the horizon. Antler's Path was the Scythian name for the constellation we call Ursa Major. Using archaeoastronomy software, Lena calculated that 2,000 to 300 years ago, on the summer solstice, Ursa Major would have pointed directly at Lake Caracol, a remote alpine lake with known Scythian petroglyphs. We trekked for 3 days. At the lake, we found Orloff's team already excavating. They'd uncovered a stone chamber with gold horse fittings and cups. Orloff smiled triumphantly. "You're late, Doctor." Marcus discreetly used a portable XRF scanner. "Fakes," he whispered. "Same metallurgy as the Altai Horde. They're planting these as they go." But Batu was watching the water. "The lake. It has no reflection at noon." He was right. At solar noon, the lake's surface became perfectly still, mirror-like, but cast no shadow from the surrounding cliffs, an optical illusion caused by the angle of light in the high altitude. No shadow at midsummer noon, I realized. The clue wasn't about the treasure casting no shadow. The location itself cast no shadow. Phase 5. The Breathing Mountain. Batu consulted elders. An ancient song described the mountain that breathes gold where ice and fire meet. Geological maps showed one anomaly: a glacier with a thermal vent at 3,800 meters elevation. The climb nearly killed us. Alexei saved Lena from a crevasse. Marcus developed altitude sickness but refused to turn back. At the vent, we found not a cave entrance, but a vertical shaft exhaling warm, sulfur-scented air. The walls were lined with gold foil hammered so thin it fluttered with each exhalation of the mountain. We descended, using climbing gear. The shaft opened into a cavern that took our collective breath away. A forest of gold, trees with gold leaves, gold grass, gold flowers. A life-sized gold stag stood on a stone dais, hollow but masterfully worked. Gold wolves prowled, gold eagles perched, even gold fish swam in a gold-lined pool, now dry. The walls weren't just covered in foil, they were fused with gold by geothermal heat over centuries, creating a crystalline gold ore amalgam that glittered in our headlamps. This wasn't storage. This was worship. Inscriptions in Greek and Proto-Scythian confirmed. Tribes deposited gold here under the stag's gaze, and received stamped bone tokens redeemable for equivalent value at other sacred sites across the steppe. This was a prehistoric federal reserve. Phase 6, Confrontation and Revelation. Orloff and his armed security team rappelled down after us. "Thank you for the guide service," he said, training a weapon on us. "The state will take custody of this cultural heritage." Alexei moved suddenly, throwing a magnesium flare into a side tunnel. "Geothermal pockets release hydrogen sulfide," he shouted. "The gold's preservation method, also highly explosive." The cavern rumbled. Orloff hesitated just long enough for us to retreat to a side passage. We escaped as the entrance partially collapsed, sealing them inside with their prize. Temporarily, they had equipment to dig out, but it bought us time. The aftermath. Truth. This propaganda. We documented everything. Spectrographs of the fused gold walls, authentic, inscriptions, the token system. Published in Nature and Archaeometry, the evidence was undeniable. International pressure forced Russia to admit the Altai Horde was partially fabricated. Orloff was quietly retired. The true revelation wasn't the gold's value, insured at $300 million for preservation purposes, but the system it represented. The Scythians had created a gold standard trading network spanning from China to the Black Sea 2,500 years ago. Their hoards were clearinghouses. The stag was the logo of history's first central bank. Alexei's father was posthumously cleared. He'd been close to this discovery in 1987 before being silenced. Batu now teaches throat singing to archaeologists. Lena works with UNESCO to protect the site. The golden forest still breathes in its mountain, its leaves tinkling in geothermal winds. It still serves its original purpose, being gold, not being spent. A testament to a nomadic culture that understood value isn't in possession, but in trust, and who built their financial system on that principle so well that it took us millennia to understand what we were looking at. Sometimes the greatest treasure isn't what's hidden, but what the hiding reveals about the people who hid it. The Scythians didn't just love gold, they systematized it, and in doing so, they created something more valuable than metal, the blueprint for civilization itself.